Hi, I'm Vanessa, and my first novel is a YA fantasy called Only a Monster. And it's about a monster girl whose summer is ruined when the cute guy at work turns out to be a monster slayer.
Vanessa Len is the Australian author of Only a Monster, a book about anti-heroes, time travel, and magic. Our main character, Joan, is half Chinese and British and discovers that her family has been keeping secrets from her about their heritage. When she is left as the only survivor after the heroes slaughter her family, Joan must embrace her monster side in order to get them back and to save herself. Hi, I'm Gemma and welcome to the Red Carpet. We have Vanessa here today to talk about her book. Hi Vanessa, thank you for being here with us.
Hi, Gemma. So great to be here.
Thank you for being here. Your debut book features a main character who quite doesn't know where she belongs, with her magic, her heritage, and even the setting. I'm sure our viewers would be interested in hearing more about the book from you. Can you tell us more?
Thank you. Okay, so the book is about, it's from a monster point of view, and I had really wanted to write a book where a monster has to fight, kind of like a heroic antagonist. So it's got time travel, it's got a kind of Captain America-like heroic antagonist. It's got a cute dog named Frankie. It's got hero. It's got soulmate enemies, enemies to lovers, a kind of hot monster guy that's really ruthless. I would say if you kind of like time travel, if you like urban fantasy, then you might also like Only a Monster.
Let's talk about the research and the writing process. First of all, your world building. In this world, monsters have powers. How did you come up with the concept of stealing time from humans?
So in the book, monsters can steal time from the human lifespan, and then they can use that to travel in time. And I actually came up with that by making this just a big list of all the things that I loved the most in movies, in TV shows, in books. And when I kind of had distilled my list, I ended up with things like just time travel, monsters, and then I smooshed those two ideas together to create these monsters who could time travel.
It was an absolutely unique read for me when I got through the book.
Thank you.
So a portion of the book does take place in England in the 90s. How did you do your research for this, especially you being Australian?
It was really hard. I feel like almost the contemporary London was kind of scarier to write about because there are so many people who live in contemporary London who would be able to nitpick it. But I did the research really by watching kind of old videos that people had, I guess, created at the time and just uploaded. So they were often tourist videos. I would watch them on YouTube. I know. So they were kind of, they're really very handheld, kind of be like some tourists just commenting on what they were seeing in the moment. But it was really helpful. It really gave me an idea of the clothes, kind of like, nobody had a phone, of course, but they had these big chunky cameras because they were tourists. So that was the main way that I researched the 90s, just through home videos.
I've also been watching those. and this may have been influenced because of your book. I wanted to see what Joan was seeing in her own background there.
You probably saw the exact videos that I saw.
Possibly. So let's talk about cultural influences. What did you put into the book of your own?
So my dad is Chinese from Malaysia, and he immigrated here when he was 17. So I really wanted to kind of put my own cultural background into the book. It was really important to me. So when I was growing up, there just weren't that many people around me who looked like me. And I don't know how widely known this is, but there was a group of policies and laws in Australia really through 1900 to about 1960s, 1970s, where it made it very difficult for people who were not European to immigrate to Australia. It was called the White Australia policy, and that was repealed around the time that my dad immigrated. So that meant that I was really among the first generation of Asian Australians. since the gold rush, since the 1800s. So when I was growing up, I didn't see a lot of people around me who looked like me. I didn't really get to read a lot of, I guess, diaspora cultural experiences like mine. So yeah, it was really important to me to include that in this book, to make Joan, who's my main character, have a really similar background to mine, and also to make her the main character. That was really important.
It was expressed in the book that her family thought that she would end up more like her father's side of the family, in which she was a little bit more human than monster. What were you trying to express about Joan being Chinese and British versus monster and human?
I was really interested in characters who can move between worlds, which is how I often feel about myself. Being, I guess, my mother has a Maltese background, my dad's Chinese Malaysian, and of course I was born and grew up in Australia. So I feel like I often am moving between different cultures, and I guess I'm drawn to characters who are also like that. So I created Joan to be moving between worlds all the time. She's also half Chinese, and then I made her half human and half monster. I'm just always interested in characters who have multiple identities, who kind of belong in different spaces and sometimes don't belong in those same spaces. That's really interesting to me.
I hope that our viewers who also are multi-ethnic also feel represented. I can't speak on this myself because I'm fully Vietnamese, but I do feel like representation is important, and we need to include, multi-ethnic children into this. So let's talk about Aaron, who is another monster, and Nick, who is the hero of the story. Tell me about the love triangle and the direction you took.
I don't know, this is such a strange, I feel like, method to start a love triangle on, but I was really thinking about it thematically, I suppose, because Joan is part monster and part human, and I feel like in some ways she is really processing her identity still. She's still a teenager. And so I thought it would be really interesting to have a human love interest and a monster love interest, almost as that thematic, in the same way that she's really thinking through her own identity. These two guys are in a way kind of representative of those two parts of her identity as well.
How did you feel about writing and debuting during COVID?
Well, I guess I never had any other experience. I only had the COVID experience. So, well, I suppose I got to do a lot more events than I would have been able to do because I'm here in Australia. And so many events went online. So I got to do lots of Zooms that I probably wouldn't have been able to do. And then I got to see a lot of launches that I wouldn't have been able to see because so many of the other debuts did them online. So I feel like there were good aspects and bad aspects. I was definitely sad I didn't get to do an in-person launch party myself, but at the same time, lots more people got to go, which also wouldn't have happened if it had been just in person.
How has the reception from the book community been like?
Oh my gosh, it's been absolutely amazing. I didn't realize there was such a big book community. But even from the moment I announced the book, I just had people reaching out to me saying, I'm also publishing a book this year for the first time. And I discovered these amazing author communities, particularly of communities where people are also publishing their first books and kind of giving each other support, advice, telling each other about their experiences. And it's so supportive. It's really, really supportive because it's such a different journey to, I feel like, any journeys that we've collectively had before. So it's nice to be able to experience that with other people who are having that same experience.
Now that you've debuted as a writer, what's next?
So this book is the first in a trilogy. So I'm working on the sequel right now, and I'm also starting to plot out the third book in the series. So that's what's next. And then I've got a few ideas for after that as well, but I can't say yet what they are.
I'm so excited. I need to know what happens next.
Every time someone says that, I feel like I've seen a movie in advance or something.
What are you most excited for readers to experience in this book, though?
In Only a Monster, I'm really excited for them to be surprised by some of the plot twists. I love a plot twist myself, so I worked really hard to, I guess, create some really fun twists that happen throughout the book. So yeah, I'm really excited for people to read those and be surprised, I hope.
I am as well. I think I mentioned this to you before, but like the ending had me screaming.
Yay.
Is there anything you want readers to take away after reading this book?
I suppose one thing that I'd love them to take away is one of the things I wanted to do was, I guess, put empathy upon characters that you wouldn't normally empathize with. I guess it goes back to when I'm thinking about those movies I used to watch with the Asian bad guys who didn't really get narrative sympathy. The hero got all the sympathy. So I wanted to, I was kind of thinking, but what if you did give that other side sympathy? What if you showed, the people they love, the people who love them, their hopes, their dreams, their backstories? Wouldn't it be interesting to be able to empathise with both sides in a way? So yeah, I would love people to come away with it. I guess watching the bad guys in films and thinking, what's their story?
Your new book, Only a Monster, came out recently. Can you tease the audience with something from the book?
Oh, so I think my favourite line from the book is when Joan's kind of frenemy, kind of potential love interest to Aaron tells her as she's about to enter the monster world for the first time, dragons need not fear other dragons. I think that's one of my favourite lines in the book.
A wonderful line. We mentioned briefly that the sequel is coming out. Is there a timeline for that?
Yeah, so it'll be coming out next year, and then there'll be a third one that will come out after that. So yeah, stay tuned. I've got so many more twists planned for the rest of the series, and I'm just as excited for people to read those as I am for them to read the twist in Only a Monster.
I don't know if my heart can take it. Okay, so where can we find your book for purchase?
You can find it on in-store, really any, I hope any bookstore. You can find it online. And yeah, I guess there's also a really great audiobook read by Vera Chock, and highly recommend that version as well.
And where can we find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram at vanessa.len_writes.
Thank you so much for being here with us today, Vanessa. Congratulations on your first book. I hope that our viewers follow Joan on her journey of self-discovery and sacrifice and find it as unique as I did.
Thank you so much. This was so fun. I loved all of these questions.
My guest today has been author Vanessa Lent with her book, Only a Monster, available for purchase now wherever books are sold. You can find us with more conversations with authors at 24hourkpop.com. I'm Gemma for the Kpop-TV Entertainment Network, and I'll see you next time.